conduct a small poll, and please just give me your response so that I can understand whether I'm audible enough to you or not. So yeah, please answer to the poll. Before I proceed, I just need your input just to confirm everything is okay, and then probably we are good to go. So I'm still receiving response. Okay, so looks like things are okay, and all of us can, go to the next step, and you can all can hear me properly. Okay, so a second. Let me just adjust the presentation a bit. I'll be back in a moment. So, okay. Okay, sorry, there was a small disturbance from my side, and I had to rewind the entire presentation. And I'm extremely sorry for the disturbance, but I hope you all can hear me properly, and we are good to go from here now. So once again, I would like to thanks to everyone for joining me today's webinar on version migration capability of Navision. Moving on to the today's webinar agenda, first of all, I would like to introduce you with myself. My name is Subhash Sharma. I'm a senior technical consultant here at NAV, and I have 9 years of industry experience. I'm specialized in solution development and version migration of Microsoft Dynamics NAV. I have worked on various versions of NAV, beginning from the early version of 3.0, 4.0, 5.0, like going forward, the latest one, which is NAV 2013 R2. So I have a quite good exposure on the version migration and the product development on the top of Dynamics NAV. So moving on to the agenda of today's webinar, I would like to introduce you first of all about us. So here we'll talk about canaries, a quick introduction about canaries to start with. Then we'll talk about why upgrade. I will talk a bit about the most commonly asked question by our customer, why should I go for an upgrade? So there are a couple of factors which we need to take care before we think of, talking to a customer why we need to go for upgrade and what are the considerations. So we'll talk a little bit about why upgrade. And then I will take you through the process we follow in canaries for executing our Dynamics NAV version migration projects. Some of the consideration we have, like different phases we have, some of the consideration we have when we plan for the execution of the version migration project. And in this consideration part, I will talk about some of the very important consideration which a partner needs to think about while planning the upgrade process. Then I'll come to the phases, different phases of the version migration projects. And in these different phases of version upgrade projects which we follow, I will try to elaborate a little bit what are the best methodology we have built at Canaries. And then of course, as you know that for every business processes we have some certain challenges too. So we'll talk about some of the challenges faced, and we'll discuss about some of the major challenges we have faced in the past and how we have overcome those challenges. And we have a plan to discuss about Canaries object migration and data migration tools. And in this, we'll talk about our built-in tool which we have developed for our internal purpose, and this helps us to to smoothly execute the version migration projects. So I'll just give you a quick and a brief introduction about the tools, and then I'll a little bit about some of the major benefits what we can offer to our client with this practice version migration best practices. So going forward, I have a plan to discuss a small sample case study, keeping the time constraint in my mind. I will quickly try to take you through a sample case study of one of our NAV upgrade project which we did recently. And finally, I would really like to listen from all of you about your experience with Dynamics NAV upgrades. And if any one of you have any doubt, please raise your question. I would be more than happy to answer you. Okay, so I hope things are okay and you all can hear me properly. In between, if anyone of you have any question, please use QA button and please let me know your feedback or your questions in between. I would try to answer you in between if it is possible. Otherwise, we have a general QA session at the end of the session, and I will try to cater all your requirement, all of your questions, probably at the end of the session. Okay, so moving on to the first point in today's agenda about Canary. We are a leading IT service provider having our footprints worldwide. We are a Microsoft Gold certified partner specialized in the solution development in Microsoft Dynamics and of course version migration project. We have a broad range of IT services and solutions which includes Microsoft Dynamics mobile app products, custom application development, maintenance and testing on mobile and web platforms too. We have done several successful version upgrade projects over the year, and while we execute our projects, we have learned and matured in the process of execution. We have designed and developed our own migration tools, and have also developed our own methodology to successful execution of the projects. We have fine-tuned our methodology and processes on a case-to-case basis so that we can provide our clients to derive maximum benefit, spending least cost and time. So before I move to the next part of my presentation, I would like to request all of you to use QA panel and raise any doubt you might have. I will try my best to answer your questions so that you don't miss anything.
So everyone can start with what role is the government talking about at like you have to carry as of now, I think there are no formal government.
Okay, so moving on, I would like to talk about why one should go for upgrade. So let's go to the next slide. And the most talked question, like among our partner, among our customer, why I should go for upgrade. So we have seen in almost all the upgrade projects we have worked on, we noticed that the client have a lot of doubts and a lot of misconception in their mind. Some of very common doubts are like, why do we need to upgrade? What is the cost involved and how much do we benefit from a new version? Do our user need to learn everything from scratch and sometimes few more of them? So, okay, so answer to this doubt, if you look at the screen, I have listed out some of the major benefits and some of the major points in favor of version migration. And if you look at the screen, some of the key points are like optimizing performance with the latest technology, improve decision making. So we'll talk very brief about each and everything, and start with the optimizing performance. So as you all know, every new release of any software products offer its customer with new features and enhancements. Mostly these are also accompanied with optimization of performance and inclusion of the latest technology. So coming back to the same topic, Dynamics NAV version migration, the new release of Microsoft Dynamics NAV is like similar to the other product. It's not a new exception. The product attracts customer because it is typically a good fit for most industry specific need right out of the box. When I say right out of the box means the new enhanced product capability available in Navision 2013 R2 suitable for your business need. Most of the stuff is already developed out of the box and it can cater all of your business need out of the box. As well as it offers easy options for improved configuration and customization. Dynamics NAV 2013 R2 is the most significant release in the history of NAV products. NAV 2013 R2 has enhanced core functionality to be more user-friendly and customizable with a new look and feel. Functionality are more in line with the rest of the Microsoft suites like copy paste, link, sharing link, copy link, find. So what we see in other Microsoft product, we have some certain easy to use actions. So coming back to the NAV as a product, we have a similar actions which you can use. So no need to learn a special actions to access your frequent data. Improve decision making. It is again very important and crucial part. How the new system is going to help us to make effective decision. So if you talk about effective decision, if you talk about visualization of your critical data, yes, the new reporting enhancement and graphical representation of your data using charts have significantly improved the decision making process. So you can build your custom business chart using new business chart control add-in and have meaningful graphical representation of your critical data. So there are a lot of tools available out of the box which you can use to configure your critical data, and you can present your critical data in a logical structure using different charts, using query objects. More integration option, as you all know that having a limitation with one box installation, sometimes you need to establish a communication between other application. If you are talking about ERP business solution, you may feel that it is good to have a synchronization with some web interface, web enabled interface, some other Microsoft suites. So coming back to the NAV 2013 R2, we have more integration option available right out of the box. You have out of the box integration option available so that you can integrate your NAV with Microsoft Excel, SharePoint, Office 365 and other Microsoft technology, which make our day-to-day tasks quite easy. Okay, so we'll talk about a little bit web interface and what are the features this web interface offers us. So yeah, this web interface means accessing your application from any device, supporting all the browsers. This gives you the freedom to present your data on a mobile device or tablet device. So web client is a simplified version of role-tailored client, allowing more employees, especially occasional user, easy access to relevant information without making complex system customization. So yeah, you have a web client interface and you can configure your application on your mobile. You can configure that any application will support your mobile device and you can access the ERP business data on the fly. You have a SharePoint client integration out of the box. You can set up a website to share Microsoft Dynamics NAV 2013 R2 data and information such as like pages. You want to share the pages, you want to share the reports, you wanted to have a real-time information pulled out of the box from ERP business solution in the SharePoint interface. So all these things you can do without making no more customization. We have Azure platforms which provide you, hosting model, and using the NAV provisioning tool for Windows Azure enable you to deploy your Microsoft Dynamics NAV on the Windows Azure platform. You have options on-premise deployment. You have a partner-hosted deployment model where you can have your application deployed on your premises and the database hosted on the partners. So with the introduction of cloud deployment option and capability, we are getting opportunity to rethink traditional business model and strategies. A more virtual world creates opportunity for more business that supports both remote and mobile employee. So you need to be able to present your data anywhere and at any time. We have seen an earlier version of NAV where you do not have integration with web. So in that case, you are dependent upon the internet connectivity. You cannot access quite frequently your application data. And yes, you have defined role-tailored capabilities. This gives you what you want. A high degree of task focusing by hiding the unnecessary data. The new refined role-tailored client hide the feature you don't need to see. So what I mean when you talk about hide the feature you don't need to see, that means categorizing all of your business need in a one place where you can repeatedly access your information in a single click. New and improved server performance. All of your business logic is going to be handled efficiently, and obviously that increase your system performance. So we have just seen a quick introduction about what are the features we have out of the box available with the release of NAV 2013, and we have talked about some of the key features to understand why we need to upgrade. There are so many other factors as well which can help you to identify why we need to upgrade. But I tried to highlight some of the important factors which we have realized during our past experience. So I hope that the network is okay and I'm audible enough to all of you. So please, if you have any question, I would like to answer all of your doubts. Please raise your question if you have in between. Okay, moving on, I think everything is fine and I can move to the next topic. Okay, so consideration, some of the consideration as a partner, as a customer, whenever we talk about new product, new upgrade, we think of several things before we go for upgradation or before we decide whether we need to go for upgradation or not. So some of the consideration are like whether the existing database is a very huge in size and the client does not want to carry forward this entire chunk of data. Some of the customization is quite confusing. Client is not sure about the old customization done on their version of NAV, and they are also not sure whether to carry forward this customization or not. Sometimes we have seen in the previous version customization has been done, but when we talk about whether this customization needs to carry forward to the new version, sometimes we see that the client is also a little confused and he is not able to answer whether this is something which they need in the going forward. And they might have done that customization for at least for some business need and which they may not require going forward. So there are a lot of unrequired confusing customization in the product and which they will not be needed anymore. So we have to decide whether this customization needs to taken carry forward or we need to drop this customization and we need to suggest some effective other functionality to cater those business needs. Old and quite bad data. If you have data created in legacy system, it's not accurate and it is displaying, it is lying inside the live database for quite some time, and you don't need those old data in the system. So it's not good to carry forward all of your old data. And sometimes some of the client wants to start with the fresh data. They want a clean and fresh start on the latest version of NAV. So these are some of the consideration that we usually look into before we decide upon the strategy to be adopted for a particular client. However, on a case-to-case basis, we might need to analyze some of the other inputs depending upon the customer situation, depending upon the business need, and obviously it's completely depend upon the requirement of business needs. So I think we have covered some of the consideration, and we are going to look at the process of moving to the latest version of Dynamics NAV. And the step it involves both from the partner and the client side. So to start with, I will take you through the process we follow in Canaries to effectively deliver our version upgrade projects. On the screen, you can see I have tried to break down some of the major activity grouped into the project phases. Here you can see the screen that I have listed down. The major activity we do in the next few slides, I will quickly take you through these activity individually. But before we go into detail, I'll just quickly highlight some of the area which we cover. We start with understanding the client requirement, and based on the requirement analysis, we move to the study code upgrade, moving to the RTC upgrade. We'll talk about each and every steps a bit detail in next coming slide. Okay, so since we just now we have seen a process flow what we basically define at our version migration process and what are the steps we follow. So we start with understanding the client business requirement, and then we do a detailed analysis based on the input we have. Here we try to analyze the client current business situation and the users pattern. So basically, after gathering all the requirement and understanding the business needs, it gives us a good understanding of client business needs, and also help us to understand and estimate the client growth path. So as you can see here, I have a couple of points mentioned in the requirement analysis phase. Some of the major important points are like detailed analysis of customer existing business process, current situation and users pattern, conflict analysis, infrastructure assessment. So if you talk about conflict analysis, actually this is a bit important exercise which you do at this stage. This basically helps us to list on all the conflict which we may have due to existing customization in the client database, and based on the conflict analysis, we prepare the conflict resolution plan. So this conflict resolution plan is very important because moving forward, if you don't clarify what are the customization which we need to carry forward until we are not sure, I think it is a very tough decision for us to draft or finalize our business needs. We also do a bare minimum infrastructure assessment at this point. We don't generally delve deep into the hardware sizing part. We just look at whether the PCs, laptop, and the server have the prerequisite configure as per the Microsoft recommended hardware and software guidelines. The other important aspect to be discussed at this point is whether the client is using any add-on solution. So I hope you all are aware that if you have any add-on solution installed on your machine and you are using add-on solution, those are having a different set of tables, set of objects, and the database residing to the different set of tables. So if you talk about data migration, you have to be careful because the prediction toolkit coming from the Microsoft won't be able to help you. So if there are kind of add-ons users already being deployed on the client machine, we suggest them and we accordingly make a suggestion to coordinate with the add-on partner, and we give kind of suggestion how we can effectively move the database part. In Canaries, we offer our clients with a workshop on the latest version of NAV periodically, basically, to enhance the understanding of the new version capabilities. We keep inviting our client to such events, and I would be very glad to see all of you joining us in the upcoming event as well. So, okay, so once we are done with the initial finding and we come to deduce the answer to one of the most important question, whether the client is good candidate for upgrade or update. So a good question and answer session with the client gives a sense of understanding whether they should go for a fresh implementation or upgrade. So at this stage, when we have a requirement, we are done with the analysis part. We have all the input we needed to execute the upgrade. We revisit our project plan and adjust it according to the current state of affairs. Sometimes we also revisit our risk plan to see if we need to do any correction to it. So yeah, based on all the input, we prepare a study document in that we list down all of our findings in a business requirement, and we make a suggestion based on our analysis and propose the migration plan for the upgrade. So moving on to the phase which we have mentioned earlier in earlier slide, bit technical, what we do generally in the code upgrade part. So some of the activity which we generally follow, I would like to first of all highlight, like configuring and installing all this COM and DCOM tool. And in this COM and DCOM tool, we basically configure the Canvas object migration and data migration tool with the inputs we have received from the analysis phase and make them ready to automate certain steps for the migration. I will not go very deep into the technicality of the actual version upgrade. However, I would like to highlight that our object migration and data migration tool enable us to execute some of the upgrade steps very quickly and accurately. So thus it reduces the time constraint and obviously it helps us to market. If you look at the slide on the screen, you can see I have defined a very overall outline of the execution step of a code upgrade that we usually follow. You can see these are the steps that all the partners which may not follow, but our object migration and data migration tool provide us an edge over the others in terms of speed and accuracy. This Canvas object migration tool basically help us to analyze all the modification done on the customer source database. As you can see on left hand side of your screen, we have a different version of source database. There we have a customer source database, we have a customer base database, and the latest version which is a target database. Using our Canvas object migration tool, we can analyze the difference between, and this tool suggests the what would be the code changes for the target database. So this is almost quite automated process, and this helps us to quickly deliver this solution. So moving on to the next slide, role-tailored client upgrade. At this stage, a list of objects are defined that need to be transformed. And we have a good understanding of total object which needs to be transformed and upgrade or redesign. I hope you understand what I mean with the role-tailored client upgrade. A very brief idea about role-tailored client is like interface, how the newer version is going to look like. If a customer is in their legacy system, they may have a classic environment. In the classic environment, the interface of the screen is a bit different. But moving to the latest version, we have Windows client, we have a web interface, we have a SharePoint interface. So we need to transform our objects accordingly. There are some of the objects type which has been not supported anymore with the new release of the NAV, like forms is no more there with the latest version, and I'm sure that you all are aware with that. Data code is again no more being supported by Microsoft Dynamics NAV 2013 R2. Classic report has changed to the RDLC reports. So if you sum up the entire things using our Canvas object migration tool, we can transform all this unsupported object from legacy system to the new role-tailored client. As you can see, I have tried to outline a big picture how this tool works. We jumble all the parameters as an input, and this suggests what will be the page transform page, what will be the RDLC layout, what are the corresponding XML port for the data port, and some of the layout it creates for the row centric page as well. Database upgrade is the second phase. Once we are done with the code upgrade, once we have a layout part, we come to the database upgrade. And by this stage, all the required objects are upgraded to the new target version structure, and the data is ready for the migration. The first run is trial and is made in the test environment, because we may not be able to take the live data from the customer, and we cannot actually move in the first phase to the live database. So we have to do a kind of test run, and we have to be prepared with the test database in the first phase. And once we are done with the test database, probably we can think of moving to the production environment with the live database. So this step involves running the canaries data migration tools, which automates the data upgrade process. Also run the test script to clean the data. To clean the data, like some of the bad data, if you might have seen in the classic version, we have a different data structure in SQL, and classic won't restrict us to enter the special character. But moving forward, if we migrate our classic native data to SQL Server, we will be having a trouble. So our Canvas data migration tool will correct all those bad data, and this reduces the possibility of manual error, and again it saves a lot of time. So once we are done with the object upgradation, we are done with the data upgradation, we'll come to the testing. And moving to the next slide. So once we are done with the upgrade, we impart training to the user. We enable them run the new system and perform a user acceptance testing. That's it. We are almost done with the upgrade process. After the test acceptance, the data is prepared for the upgrade on the live system. Deployment is something which comes after UAT, and after UAT we go for the deployment with the live data, and we deploy the new system to the production environment after we get the acknowledgement from the customer. And as I said earlier, the first deployment will be based on the test data, and if they are okay, we will run the data migration process once again, and we will try to ensure all the modification and all the customization done on the legacy system has been migrated properly on the newer version, which is obviously on the test with the test data. Once we are done 100%, then we take the live data and run this entire process. Preferably, we run this entire process to upgrade database during the weekend, so that no real-time transition happen on the main database. So after this, once we are done with the deployment, ongoing support process comes into the picture. We offer limited period support after deployment, and depending upon customer needs, this support can be extended for a longer period as well. So that brings me to the end of the execution process for our version migration project. And before we proceed, I would like to hear from you. Please let me know if you have any questions so far. You can use the QA button to raise your question. Please let me know your question. So I hope things are okay, and so far we do not have any specific question. So let's move to the next slide. Okay, so looking at the overall upgrade process of Dynamics NAV system, it is quite obvious that this process needs to be carried out by an experienced team who will not be able to only handle the issue related to upgrade, but also will be capable of advising the client on the best option for handling the modification and conflicts. Actually, upgrade is a little challenging and apparently risk venture, which require a solid team and plan in place to ensure success. And at Canaries, we have built the skills over a period of time. So now I will move on to the challenges we face frequently during version migration projects, and I would like to give you a brief idea about some of the challenges which we have faced during our past experience. The first point, you can see a big difference between NAV version. Upgrading from a very early version will be more complex than upgrading from the reset version NAV 2013 R2. So if you look at the earlier version 3.0, moving to 4.0 was a different challenge. But if you talk about 3.0 and 2013, we have certain processes which needs to fulfill in between. Then only we'll be able to execute the entire process. Huge number of customization. In case our customer is using NAV for quite some time, and depending upon their needs, a partner have done some customization on the base version of NAV. So if this is a huge customization, then comparing and analyzing the code, custom code manually is quite time-taking process, and there is a lot of possibility of error while merging the changes in the target database. The next challenge for a developer in this process is to define whether this is actually custom code or hard fix on the old NAV version, which might not need to be transformed to the new version. Also, code change done while customization without inline comments make job more difficult for a developer. It is quite obvious that if someone has done a customization without making any inline comment, it's very difficult for us to understand whether this is a custom code or it's a NAV standard code. Migrating from NAV to native database to SQL platform, again a small challenge, because we need to clean the bad data to store in the native database. Otherwise, SQL Server might not allow this to be integrated or migrated. This is very frequently faced with the dates. If you look at the date figure which we enter in the native database, we can enter 0008 instead of 2008. But if you are going to transform the data, we may run into trouble. Upgrading add-on data. Add-on like LSRTL, ITIS, payroll, EDI. The data which reside in the custom table cannot be migrated using NAV upgradation toolkit. So here our data migration tool assists you to automate the complete data migration process and move the client data stored inside the custom tables into the target database by making few configuration in the tools. Third-party integration. Yep, of course, this is again a very important and crucial part. Our tool can identify the modification done for certain functionality, and then we can manually do the changes for the third-party integration. Database size, and there is an issue with the locking deadlock and the performance. Here our tools again play a vital role, and it optimizes the code which can solve the maximum locking and performance related issues. So these are some of the challenges which we have faced during our past implementation. There might be some more important and crucial points. So it's depend upon your experience and depend upon your execution of your projects. Okay, I will move on to the next slide. As you can see, major challenges we have discussed in the previous slide, and however, we quite frequently face some of the other logistic issues like access to the client database, and sometime restricted, sometime all the customization cannot be upgraded, and the client is not ready to accept the changes, etc. So there are some cases where we use our migration tool to address the situation effectively. We have seen some of the challenges, we have seen some of the considerations, and we have I have given you a bit highlight about our Canaries object migration and Canaries data migration tool. So if you look at the screen, I've tried to highlight some of the key points which our Canaries object and Canaries data migration tool can do very efficiently. Our object migration tool can very quickly generate a detailed report of the customization done on a database and suggest the merge step to do the developer. You can see on the screen. I have listed down some of the very major benefit, like generating the detailed report, replacement of cal code with find minus with the find plus, and all these things to improve the system performance. And if you talk about data migration, it suggests the preparedness of the data, clean and compress the ledger database, and if you don't need the data, you can have an option to refine those database information going forward. Okay, so I will move on to talk about some of the other overall benefits of Canary's version migration process as a whole. So moving to the next slide, and we'll see what are the benefits we derive by using the best practices which we follow at Canary, and of course the tool which we have talked about. So if I summarize the benefit of using Canary's version migration process, and you can have a list which looks like something, and if you look at the screen, the quick turnaround time. The automated migration process ensured that the turnaround time is quite kept minimal as compared to the time taken in manual re-engineering and conventional redevelopment process. It's quite predictable and manageable. Automated tools, as you have already talked about, Canary's automation, object migration, and Canary's data migration tool. These automated tools make the process highly predictable and manageable. And lower risk migration, the tool retains the business logic embedded in the existing objects, thereby dramatically reduce potential risk to the business. Consistent quality, yeah, of course, the quality is very important part. So as the process is automated, it ensures the elimination of the human errors, typically of a manual software re-engineering process, thereby minimizing the defect in the deliverables. And money, obviously, it saves a lot of money when we talk about software transformation results. In the software transformation results, in substantial reduction in the effort and time, thereby ensuring significant cost saving, and consequently help you to reduce the total cost of ownership also. So some of the benefits like time, predictability, and risk factor, of course the money part which we have talked about, some of the figure which we have seen from our experience, we try to draw a graph so that you can visualize it better way. So yep, let's move on to the next slide. Before we proceed to the case study, again I would like to reiterate, if you have any specific question before I move forward, I would like to answer them. Please use the QA button and raise your questions. Okay, I think things are okay, and I can move to the case study quickly. Moving on to the one of the case study, I would like to quickly take you through our experience in a project where the client was using NAV version 3.7, and he was not very sure whether to go for an upgrade to the latest version, or he need to do the further customization to they cater their business needs. So it was quite confusing situation for the customer. Since they were on a very early version of NAV with some custom defined process, they were quite hesitated to move to the newer version, and they were anticipating risk of redesigning the customization from the scratch again. The interface of new version of Dynamics NAV has a lot of advantages, but for the user who are used to the classic client screen, it is quite difficult to adopt the new interfaces. Also, we had to face challenge involved in the training. Some of the customization which have been done on the earlier version were very complex, and the client was also not sure how to deal with these. So, a client was losing confidence from the product's since they were not aware of the new features added by Microsoft recently. And whenever there is a requirement, they had to ask for further customization, which make the product more and more complex. All the localization needs were not handled properly. So I try to draw a small picture just to understand a lot of things like risk of losing data, some of the benefits which they cannot predict, time and cost consideration, how much time you need to upgrade my legacy system to the newer version, so that my operations should not affect also. So this is the case which we have. To answer all these questions, we did a couple of workshops with the client team to explain them what about the new version of NAV and explain them about the new functionality available out of the box. Also, our pre-sales team ensured that the demonstration of new client of NAV can give a feel of comfortable, where they can think of operating their business processes quite smoothly, and existing customization functions through the new standard feature available in the latest version. So we can convince them some of the customization which you needs to do, which you have done already in the early version of NAV. This is already part of NAV. So we did include the demonstration of our object migration and data migration tool. So while executing the upgrade process, we try to tell them the entire situation which we have, how much time we are going to upgrade, how much time we are going to take to upgrade the entire process, and what are the benefits they can derive with the situation they have, and what are some of the benefits they can derive from the new version of NAV. So we have talked about the situation, we have talked about the business complexity, what we have seen with the customer, and then when we try to do some counseling with the customer and we try to analyze their business process, and then we did a kind of business study and then prepare a detailed document, good workshop with the customer. We try to make them understand how they are going to operate their business processes in the going forward. So with the workshop we did with the customer, they were quite okay, and we were trying to give them a feel of what are the benefits they can derive when they will move to the latest version. So the estimation what we have given, then afterward they could realize that moving forward to the latest version of NAV can reduce the efforts what they have to do while making day-to-day operation. What are the risks involved when they are going to migrate from the older version to the newer version? They are not going to lose any customization. We have made sure that whatever the customization they had in the legacy system, we are going to migrate with a less time. And we had given a kind of demonstration. We did a kind of workshop there. We have demonstrated our canaries of object migration and canaries data migration tool capabilities. And we have demonstrated them the more and more integration possibility, so that the Outlook integration is already there in the out of the box product suites. So they can quickly receive and send a mail, and they can have a web interface. They can have SharePoint interface. A lot of web-enabled interface given extra to their business possibility. And of course, since they have a internet and cloud hosted model available, so the solution is already available. They can access the ERP business at any time without zero downtime. So to sum up this, so with this benefit, some of the highlights of this project was the planning was quite okay, and whatever we have estimated, and we have delivered the entire project within a defined timeline. Our COM tool made the complete process automated, which help us to reduce the manual error, and Canary's data migration tools help us to transform all the data to the newer version very quickly. Since we have a very strong knowledge base which help us to cater the needs, which help us to cater all the process which we have faced during the application process, and we have quickly delivered all these issues which we have during the application process. So moving to the next slide, via Canaries, we have talked about Canary's object migration tool. We have talked about the Canary's data migration tool. We have talked about a small case study. Then now we are going to talk about a little bit why Canaries. We are a very mature organization, being in the software industry for the last 25 years. From a humble consulting mode during our initial years, Canaries has evolved constantly to move up the value chain and provide high-end IT services. We are into the practice from more than 7 years, and we have a good understanding of dynamics project execution. Our custom tool give us an extra edge over our competitor, and all the process have been tested over the time, and it became mature. And with our strong knowledge base, we can quickly deliver the solution for any issue which comes during execution of version upgrade projects. So yeah, we have a very strong knowledge base. That doesn't mean that we have a solution for all the process, but of course we know what are the possible problems are there, and we have a since a very strong knowledge base, so we know how to effectively deal with those issues. And finally, our matrix-driven project management methodology provide our client a very clear understanding of the status of each phase of the project execution, thus providing them with driving controls if they desire. So, okay, I hope you have been able to extract some of the good points from today's session. I will try to do more such sessions in future, and I request you to give your feedback and your suggestion to us so that we can do more effective and beneficial session for you in coming time. Also, this webinar is being recorded, and I will be, I will be made available online. Please feel free to recap and share this webinar within your network. And I would first of all like to thank each and of you, and for your active participation. So, going to the QA. And I would like to hear from all of you. Please feel free to raise your doubts and questions that you might have. I will try my best to answer your questions. So yes, please go ahead and let me know your doubts so that I can answer your questions. Okay, so I have one very good question coming to me. This is a very interesting question because we have seen a lot of complexity when we talk about a customer who has done a lot of customization in their legacy system. The question I have is like a customer, if the customer is not having any customization and he is on 2009 version, and if you think of moving to NAV 2013 R2 version, what are the efforts, what are the times, and how much business complexity, how is the complexity involved in this? So to answer this question, since as I mentioned in my presentation, if there is no customization, then the object merge is quite easy. We just need to upgrade that object using our Canary's object migration tool. This is required because if we have in case changed any of the property, if we have changed any of the small field changes and description changes, which we may not be counting in the object level modification. But if we have changed some select property changes, we have changed some of the object version level things. So those things can be recorded, and those things can be quickly captured through our Canary's object migration tool. And since there are no big customizations, so I don't think so it is going to take much time. And coming back to your database, because since you are using NAV since last 3 or 4 years and you are having 2009 version, so we need to upgrade your database, and here the Canary's data migration tool will help us to quickly move your data. So it's quite easy process because there are no much confusing customization, no further localization changes made by the customer. It is a vanilla and a standard database. So yes, you can just directly convert the database and you can technically upgrade the database to latest version. Of course, if you use this our inbuilt data migration tool and object migration tool, this entire process will be very easy and it will be very quick also. So I hope this answers your question. So yeah, I hope I answered all of your question, and considering our time constraint, I shall be closing this session here. But please feel free to send me your question or any other query related to our other service offering. We would be more than happy to answer you. So thank you so much once again. Wish you have a great day. Bye-bye.